Hey, I'm Hunter Allen with Peaks Coaching Group, and today on our Thursday video, I want to tell you a little bit about one of my athletes that I've been coaching for a little while now, and gave him a workout and gave him a very specific workout to do, and how that he failed in that workout just because of a couple of different things. So let's talk about that and how we can change some of these ways that we're thinking about these workouts. This has to do with functional reserve capacity, which is FRC. This is the energy or the work that you can do above your FTP. Okay, so anything above your FTP, your VO2 max, your anaerobic capacity, your neuromuscular power, those things all above your FTP. So let's talk about this. So the workout that he did was a sweet spot workout with bursts. Okay, so his goal in this sweet spot workout with bursts was to basically do a complete 20 minutes where he was riding at 200 watts, doing these bursts to 20% above that, and then coming back to that 200 watts again. Now, 20% above 200 watts, okay, that's 40 watts. So he really wasn't doing super hard bursts. So, 250 watts or so like that. So not that crazy. So let's look at what happened here. So here he starts out, he does his warm up, etc. And then he starts his effort here. Let's just call this 200 watts right here. Let's call this 400 watts. Let's call this 600 watts right here. So he really is only kind of doing bursts right here. So he's coming up, he's doing this, and then he does a burst, and then he comes back down, recovers, does a burst, come back down, recover, does another one, come back down and recover. Now, this is a classic workout that I give a ton of my athletes. One, because it helps a lot in a couple of different ways. One, it helps to improve your FTP. Two, it helps you to get used to doing this bursty nature that cycling is. And so you need to be able to do this kind of work if you're riding with a group or doing a group ride or a race or whatever. Now, during this time, we also have the FRC, and the FRC is in here, and so we'll just talk about FRC. FRC is this right here, and you start out with FRC, that gas tank or that battery. It's really a battery, is better way to say it. That battery is full of capacity. It's a capacity, functional reserve capacity. So it comes along, it's full right here, and then it comes down just a little bit because he's now starting to go harder, but not much because he's just below his FTP. You only use it above your FTP. So it just kind of comes down a little bit, and then he does this burst right here, and it comes down more. It recovers a little bit. It comes down a little more. It recovers a little bit. It comes down a little more. So each of these times he goes over FTP, his FRC goes down, right? And then he recovers a little more, and then it comes down. Now, out here though, he got a little excited, and all of a sudden he's like, "Oh yeah, I can do this, no problem." And he goes and cracks out a burst up here at 500 watts, and then he comes back down. And then he does another one, it cracks out this one at 600 watts or so, and does another one, and then cracks out another one here about 400 watts, and does another one. So what happens here is that his FRC recovers, but then it goes down a whole lot. And then it doesn't really recover much, and then he gets this other burst, and it continues to go down. And then he hits this other burst, and now it's right here. And now when he's at this place, he's essentially kind of, in layman's terms, he's blown himself up a little bit, right? So his FRC has gone down so much that now he's not able to maintain his 200 watts anymore, which is really kind of the goal, is to do these 200 watts with these bursts. So now he has to drop his watts down to 150 to 180, okay? And he's holding it here, and then he can do the little bursts, and then come back and do another burst, and come back and do another burst, and come back and do another burst, and come back, and then eventually finishes the workout down here. But he's way lower under what his goal was to do. Now this does start to come back as he's recovering, and then it goes back down again, recovering, back down, recover, back down, and eventually it's kind of finishing out over here. So he failed in doing this workout And that's that's really the take home here, is that when we look at this FRC, this is there's a chart in WKO5 called Dynamic FRC, and this is what we're looking at. We're looking at this to see, did one of the reasons, and there's multiple reasons we look at this chart, but one of the reasons we do is to look at it to see if you actually accomplished your goal of either depleting the FRC or not depleting the FRC, and what does that mean? Now, in this case, I really didn't want him to deplete the FRC very much. I had hoped that it actually was going to kind of mimic this, you know, in here like that. The FRC would come down a little bit more and then be stable and somewhat here all the way throughout. But because of these three really hard intervals, it just crushed him, and then he wasn't even able to do his 200 watts, which was really his sweet spot. So he had to come to endurance pace. So it was a big fail. The next time, I mean, once I explained all this to him, then it was very clear, so he did it right the next time. What do you do if you recognize this during your ride? If you recognize this happens to you during your ride, you should just stop right here, right? Just stop, recover, allow the FRC to recover, just really, really easy pedaling for 4, 5, 10 minutes, then come back, do your 200 watts or sweet spot, and then do the burst again and really control those bursts. I hope that helps. That's a unique scenario, but I see it. I've seen it multiple times now, so I thought I might want to share that with everybody. Like us on Instagram, check us out on Facebook. We're all over YouTube as well. Give me a comment in the video below if you have any questions. Love to see your comments. Thank you so much.